As twins, what was it like being separated when the a draft came?
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
How old were you guys around when the draft came along for World War II?
18.
18?
Well, the draft came out. It came out. How old were you when it came out? Well, the
So
draft
how old were they when they were drafted?
Yeah, how
came
old
out
were you when you were
before that,
drafted?
A few years before we become eligible, probably about 16 or 15, 14, 15,
No,
when the draft came out in World War II. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
And then we were eligible when they become 18. Then they drafted us, you know. And then we left home, and when we got drafted, we left home together, and we kept looking back and waving back to our folks and stuff. We were walking up the road and stuff back, you know, and of course, excuse me, but it made you emotional, you know, because we were leaving our family behind. We didn't know whether they were going to come back, but we did. We made it. Luckily, I guess for Jim and that. But anyhow, we took him. So we drafted us, and we went down to a place they call Camp Upton, Long Island. And that's where a place where they you went in there and they inducted you into there. And then they interviewed you and checked you over and got you interested whether you're going to be where they're going to put you, you know. So anyhow, they took him and they kept us there probably a few days or so. And one humorous little thing about it, they wanted somebody to drive truck, okay, truck drivers. And Jim got in that too, as far as I remember now. But I raised my hand and said, I'll drive a truck. I'll drive a truck. And so what happened, there was a bunch of guys out there, probably 20 guys. You go drive the truck. And what the hell, I ended up with a wheelbarrow. They give me a wheelbarrow, drive a wheelbarrow around. You know?
They knew better, didn't they?
And go and get coal and stuff, and put coal in a wheelbarrow and take it over to the barracks so they use to fire up the boilers with, you know.
And you picked up a lot of papers. I give you
And pick up papers and cigarette butts and all that around in the thing. And me,
Bob,
Jim,
let Jim talk.
well, go ahead, now you talk.
I picked up a lot of, well, Bob always had a knack for volunteering. And every time I'd ask him something, he'd put his hand up. Me, I'd stand there and then put my hand up because I didn't know how to drive a truck or nothing like that. So they called, just like you said, they call you, stand where you are, and the rest you dismiss. So I got dismissed, and there Bob and about 20 other guys were standing there, and all of a sudden, me and another guy decided to go to the PX in the evening there. So we went to the PX, and heard Bob was out there with 2 or 3 other guys, and they're pushing a wheelbarrow. And he had, he reached out there picking up cigarettes off the ground, and papers, whatever, candy papers, whatever had to be laying around, putting them in the wheelbarrow. And so one incident there, we was out there, and this one guy, he threw a cigarette butt on the ground. So they made him dig a hole 3-4 feet deep, bury the cigarette butt. Then they made him dig it out again and take the cigarette out and put it in the wheelbarrow. And he really had his work cut out for him. And I never forgot that. That was the funniest thing I ever. But he was, I'll never volunteer for anything again, he said. I never forgot that.
Oh, funny.
But that was funny. That was one of the first experiences.
So then when we got down to, they shipped me down to, I think, Georgia, I remember. Shipped me down to Georgia, and well, what happened, they offered us 2 different, they offered me if I wanted to go in the Navy or in the Army. Well, his eyes were bad, so they only offered him in the Army at the time. And so I said, well, he's in the Army, I'll go in the Army too. I want to stay with him. So what they do, they shipped us out in here. I shipped me one way and then kept him back from and then shipped him down to Fort Blanding, Georgia or someplace. I don't know what it was.
Camp Blanding.
Huh?
Well, that was after we were doing the basic Camp Blanding, Florida.
So anyhow, they put me on guard duty, and they had to go out and they had this great big coal pile as big as this house, you know, up there. And you had to stay out there for 4 hours, right out in the pitch dark, no lights and nothing around. It was all dark. And so they dropped me off there and I was moving back in 4 hours. and all of a sudden I'm there and they had my rifle. They didn't have no ammunition or anything. And all of a sudden these coals started rolling down the thing. And I thought, it sounded just like somebody jumping on a coal coming down after me. So I put my back against the wall. Halt! And I didn't hear nobody answer. I said, halt! And so they said, you can move another buddy. I so B, I said, I'll blow your freaking head off. And I didn't even got nothing in my thing. And I said, all of a sudden, the coal stopped doing that. And what happened, the wind shifted sometimes and it would cause the coal to move. And it come down just like swearing somebody's coming down that coal pile after you, you know. It was 4 hours I ever put in my life in guard duty, you know. I was just a kid, 18 years old. I didn't know anything. And did you have an experience like that too when you first went?
I worked in the coal pile a couple of times, but I used to had a boiler. We used to, not boilers, they had these pot belly stoves. We had to turn on, keep coal in them all night long to make sure that they heat the barracks and this kind of stuff. And so we had experiences like that there, and but most of the time I done guard duty, and I was I go out and there'd be 4 or 5 guys out there, and just they call them sentries back them days. You had to stand at a post and you had to stand at attention, then all of a sudden they get you walking back and forth, and about every hour they change sentries back and forth, and there was one guy that I knew. He turned around and he didn't like the army. He said, if I'm going to get out of this army, he said, no, if I have to break my leg. I said, what do you want to do that for? I looked just, I'm lonesome for home. He said, I want to go home with my mother and dad. He said, I don't like them here. And of course, we was lonesome too, but we never thought like that, you know. We had done our basic training, and all of a sudden when they sent us home for a furlough, and we had colts that come right down to our feet almost, these big old mackinaws, they called them back then days.
Boy, they were heavy.
Yeah, they were heavy and made out of wool. And they kept you warm, but the only thing was that we both looked like a couple of, especially me, I looked like a little jackrabbit. That's how skinny back in the days. I only 120 pounds. And Bob always weighed about 135, 40, something like that. And so anyway, they shipped us off down to, first I went to North Carolina. Then they shipped me to the Camp Blanding. And we went in town one day, me and a couple other guys, and they give us a weekend pass. So we goes into town to stay in the town, and all of a sudden we went to this house to stay in this house. We rented for a couple of bucks a night, I guess it was. And there's 4 of us went in there, and this was like they called them rooming houses back them days. And they had 4 beds in this one room. And so we all got in this room, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden the bed started to move. Couldn't understand what was making the beds, and the beds moved just like going downhill. And so I never got that. We were all scared to death because we thought there were spooks in the house, you know.
What was it?
And
What
they
caused
said that the floors were on level, and they had casters on the beds. And what happened, you move a little bit, and the darn bed was coming down the room there. We thought somebody was in there spooking around the place. So it didn't take long for us, as soon as they got daylight, we hightailed out of there. But it was the funniest darn thing I ever seen in my life, and so that was kind of crazy. But we didn't stay in the States too. I didn't stay in the States too long, but probably about 3 months. And after 3 months, all the guys I was with had done our basic training together. They were shipped to different places. Some went to Japan, some went to Europe, and different places around. Some went to Africa. And they sent me to Germany. And I got into Germany, and they put us on the different outfits. And you didn't get a chance because it's just like going in and not knowing nobody. Because you didn't know nobody in the platoons and stuff. It was like getting acquainted all over them. And I met two guys. Well, there was two guys. One named Decker and the other one was Yankovic. They both went over with me, and the only one out of about 100 and some men that I knew that went over there with me. And so we was there about 4 or 5 weeks, and they shipped us up on the front lines. And the first you know, we get on the front lines, and all of a sudden old hell broke loose, and the old guns started to fly. And
this was the Battle of the Bulge, right?
of course,
Yeah.
Battle of the Bulge, right?
yeah, the Battle of the Bulge. And a whole bunch of us, we had no shoes that could keep your feet warm back them days. Everything, you had these combat boots, and they were made out of leather. And they used to hold the cold. And they gave us a couple of pair of socks to put on. Being out there, was out there for 6 weeks, outside in the cold, whenever getting inside of a building. And once in a while we find a new manure pile, and we call in a manure pile and get warm. You could see the steam come out of the manure pile, and you knew it was warm because the manure pile had the steam coming out of it. So we used to lay down in the manure pile. And so for a couple hours or so, then all of a sudden we get going again. And probably 15, 20 guys, they all got so they couldn't feed their feet anymore. Their feet got so cold, it was like walking on blocks of wood. And so we told the captain about it, and the captain said, well, let me see your feet. So we took our shoes off, and they're black as coal. And he said, my God, you got bad frostbite. So they turned around and we put the shoes back on, and they sent us down in an area to go to a medic to get checked out. It was after dark. We got down to the medic about a mile away, and all of a sudden, the captain down there taking care of the medics down there, he says that we went to the wrong medic station. I said, well, at the time, our captain told us where to go, and that's where we went. So we get down there, and he said, well, we can't take care of you. You have to go back where you come from. So there was a bunch of, we're coming back, and it was dark, it was pitch dark, about 12 o'clock at night, and you could hear the Germans' tanks out, probably from here across the roadway, in the woods, alongside the woods, in the woods. And so me and Yankovic and Decker, we snuck back to our front lines, and managed to get back there without being caught or shot. You could hear the Germans talking all over the place there, and we thought they were just about going to get caught. But fortunately for us, we made it back to where we come from. The captain says, what are you guys doing back here? We said, we can't, they wouldn't take care of us down there at the first aid station. And they said, why not? And they said, because we went to the wrong first aid station. That's a bunch of crap, he said. I remember seeing him saying that. He says, well, we can't let you go now. You're going to have to stay here because they've lost too many men, he said, since you've been gone. So you're going to have to wait till we get some more replacements. So we wasn't back there 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, Decker says to me, he says, geez, I got to go to the foxhole, get something out of the foxhole. We had the foxhole dug in the snow, probably as high as that table there. And all of a sudden, the 88 shells started to fly in there, And Decker, he walked away from me, and 3 minutes later, the shell come in there, and all of a sudden, just like a, I don't know if you ever, it's hard to say it was, but it was like a blast. And all I can remember is seeing stars, lighting that stars, but big round, I don't know if you ever fall and hit your head and see around things like that. Well, we got a concussion. And Decker, and I woke up in a hospital in Paris. It was 3 days later, and so the nurse in there, she said, she was a French nurse. She said, "You're a baby." She said, "You pee bed." And I just remembered a couple of words which she said there, but I had so much pain in my feet. I never had any pain like that in my life. It wouldn't go away, just pain. Oh, terrible. My feet were all frozen. And Decker, I found out that he got killed. Then he turned around and he left me. He walked 20 feet and a shell came in the foxhole and killed him. And it was so close that the concussion, there's several of us guys got the concussion from it, and we all went up in the air and down, and we ended up in the hospital in Paris. And so that was a very traumatic situation for me.
You
And,
almost lost your feet.
So the doctors, they turned around and they sent me to England after that, and sent me over to England. I was in England for about 3 weeks. Well, in the meantime, I had a piece of shrapnel. When I got hurt, I had a piece of shrapnel that hit me in the hip, and so the doctors took it out, whatever it was there. I can't remember now, but it wasn't very much, but it was just a flesh burn there, or injury. And so I gets into England, and there's a hospital down there, and it was just like some of the ones in France. They were just barracks like, and they had 4 or 5 of these coal burners inside of the barracks. And there was about 60, 70 men in the barracks, and so they kept us there for a while. Then all of a sudden, the general, one of the generals, come by, and he was a doctor and looking at everybody all over and everything. They deciding which ones you're going to send back to the front and which one you're going to send to the States. And I was one of the ones that, you see, the guy had gangrene both my feet. When he seen the gangrene, he said, "You got to go back to the States, in the hospital in the States, to treat you." And so anyway, in the meantime, I got this what's called yellow jaundice. When I was, there's a lady there by the name, a nurse by the name of Mrs. Morse. No, this happened in France. Mrs. Morse, she lost her husband and 3 sons in the war, and they all died over in Japan in that area. She took a job as a nurse's aide in the first aid station there, and working in the hospital. And so the doctors come in there. A couple of doctors come into the area there, and they wanted to check my feet, and they checked my feet. And then they come around and took some kind of I remember now, forget it, it was like a black pencil or something there, and they marked the rocks off, and they said they were going to take my feet off by the ankle. And the nurse was there. I was telling her about it. I started to cry, and I thought I didn't want my feet to be taken off. So she hid me in the closet. And when they come to get me, I wasn't there. So they turned around and they looked around for me, and they couldn't find me because she hid me in the closet. And they said they couldn't have to cancel the surgery on me because they had other patients they had to operate on that. And she saved my feet from getting cut off. And at that time, they started to come up with the penicillin. I never had so many penicillin shots in my life. Every 2 hours, they give me a shot in the rear end of the penicillin. I hated to see them needles come there like that, you know. And boy, that they hurt when they shot you. And so anyway, after that, they sent me over to the States, and they put me in the hospital down in Durham, North Carolina. I was in that hospital for almost 9 months, from the day that I got hurt. And that was my adventure of World War II. And then they discharged me, and
Your brother
when I
came.
first come out of the service, I had,
Get Bob in there now.
yeah, go ahead, Bob.
He come to visit you.
Dad,
Bob,
get him sit up more.
sit up.
You gotta sit up more.
I'm falling asleep on me. I'm
Well,
talking.
they
No,
had,
you know, he's listening. He's listening to you.
I used to guard prisoners of war down in Tennessee, and they had I was telling about my brother getting hurt, and they brought him, transferring him up to Fort Cram Butler, North Carolina. And so I wanted to go up and see him. They said, because they had some prisoners of war they had to take up to Camp Butler. They had a prison camp there too. So he said to me, he said, look, I'll give you a 4-day pass. He said, and you can go up there and you can stay with your brother. So I went up there. And I took and walked in on him.
Something burning out there?
I walked in on him. First thing I could see is his whole body shook like that. It wouldn't stop. It wouldn't stop him, you know. Of course, I didn't expect that, you know, and kind of made me emotional at the time. But I calmed down and hugged him and got calmed down, and things got to the point then it worked out better for him, because when I left there, he wasn't shaking anymore, you know. It brings back memories now of this incident, and I didn't expect, like I said, and of course, and I had 2 other brothers over there in the war, Uncle Don and Uncle Buck. Still over there, and of course worried about them too, you know, and of course, so I said, well, I guess that, as long as Jim's gone over here now, I guess maybe I can go over and take his place, see? So I asked him, I said, let me go over there and that. And he said, no. He says, so what happened them days is back in Pearl Harbor, the Sullivan brothers all got killed, 5 of them, in the war. On a ship in Pearl Harbor, when they bombed Pearl Harbor. And so they said then, if there's like 3 or 4 brothers in the war, one of them had to stay back as long as one of them's over there. Or 3 or the whole family's over there except one of them, so they made me stay back. So as a result of that, they put me in the military police, like I say, and I was in the prisoners of war, guarding prisoners of war. And that's the reason I didn't go overseas, because of the fact that him and my other 2 brothers, Uncle Don and Uncle Buck, being over there in the war too, see, so they keep them from keeping it happen like it happened over with the Sullivan brothers. They did that, and so as a result of that, I didn't go overseas. But I did spend my time honorably in the States, you know. And so once in a while, I'd have to pull what they call MP duty in town, in a place, Tullahoma, Tennessee. And I had to go into town, and a lot of these soldiers like to get drunk on weekends. You know, they love to drink. And so when they get drunk, and so me and the guy named McBride had the duties of going in there for strolling this night. And we picked up a drunk in the town and brought him and put him back with a car to take him back. We had like a old cell like that. We put these guys, they originally had 2 or 3 cells in back where we had their headquarters, and we'd lock them up until they sobered up. And this one guy, he was drunker than a skunk. I was all nice uniform, clean, everything. All of a sudden he heaved and he puked all over my head and all over my back and my neck and all the way down me and stink. Oh my God almighty, oh you rotten pig. And so he got him back there, and then I had to go in the shower and change all my underwear and change everything. New uniform in there, so I go back out. So the moral of the story was, they asked me, a guy named Finch was town supervisor down there in Gates, and he says to me, he says, you know, he said, why did you try and get a job? He says, as a guard, he says, something And it was Jim got a guy down at the jail down there from a guy from up in Charlie got him down. He got hired for the Skinner. He got somebody down there in the sheriff's department. Well, anyhow, I took him. So no way. He said, why not? Wouldn't you like twins to go in and do the same? He said, I did that crap. I said, in the service. And I said, the guy puked all on my back and everything. That froze me up. No way if I want to be a damn guard or anything, a policeman or guard or anything like that. I said, no way. And I was a volunteer fireman, and I enjoyed that because of the fact I didn't have to put up with that kind of crap. Then I turned out to be an alcoholic myself. But that's part of the course. But what I'm saying, during them days, I wasn't a drinker, you know. I didn't have this problem some days, you know. But anyhow, so the fact of it was that the reason that I didn't go overseas is because of that. But I still spent my time in there for 2 years and some months or something like that in the service before I got out, you know, out of a discharge. But I tell you, I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world because the fact was, like I say, them days, like he said, there were guys in the outfit there and that commit suicide. They wanted to injure themselves and stuff like that, you know. And but we had 2 brothers over there, and we felt that if they're men enough to be over there to do it, we can do it too, and we did. And
Now they come here to get underneath.
Okay.
That's, you know,
That must have been real dusty.
Clear.
No.
Now it's recording again.
Okay.
I zoomed in
So
on
these are
that.
his awards.
Yeah.
Just say that. Just say on there that it's Uncle Jim holding his awards.
What are the medals that are on there?
I got 2 Purple Hearts for injury in the service, and I got the Good Conduct Medal there, and the World War II Medal, and Distinguished Service Cross from New York State, from Governor Lepaki, and I can't see what. Then I got a Good Conduct Medal there from World War II. I got my ruptured duct there, that they call a ruptured duct, that little button there that sits on there, and the brass button.
That's his rifle.
And then I got some ribbons there. The ribbons represent going in getting the award. I mean, ribbons for serving and doing a good job of taking care of my business while I was in there. So they give me 3 of them, 2 or 3 ribbons there. And I guess that's about it.
You got your telegram there that your mother got?
Oh, yeah, I got a telegram from my mother, the original, the copy of the original that they sent my mother when I got hurt in the service. And
The other one's your discharge.
discharge is one side of it there, and
Dog tanks.
I got a copy of the frostbite I got on my feet. I got gangrene in the feet. You know, I'll show it to you when they get done here.
You know.
I,
And you gave us our freedom.
I met my wife in the square dance when they come out of the service. Probably about 2 years, maybe a year.
You had to go back to the Army hospital for a while.
Oh yeah, I had until I got so I was falling down. I went to her with her one time. I got down to the furniture store first day after married them, and I was down by Bo's Head, and all of a sudden
Price.
It's nice to have
a big truck backfired.
Oh.
And man, I hit the deck. You know, I thought it was a bomb going off, and I never had anything like that before. And then
Flashback.
another time, I was walking down the street with her, and my whole body went numb from about 3 different times. It went numb from the waist down. I couldn't stand up. Come to find out,
About his surgery.
the nerves was shutting the circulation, the damaged feet there, the circulation was shutting off, and it would work up my legs. My legs would go to sleep, and I couldn't get them to come back. And after about 20 minutes, they'd bounce back to where they were. But so I had to go to Buffalo VA hospital up there, and they give me an operation on each one of my sides from my feet to increase the circulation.
Well, that was expensive.
And after they done that, my circulation come back, and I have good circulation for many years. But right now, it's just I'm getting older, so I'm having a little problems again. But they done me a lot of good by going to the hospital there. I'm lucky that I did, you know. And because I had a workable life all my life. I worked
Yeah, it
for
was King George or something.
I worked for 27 years with the sheriff's
So
department.
they tried it on him.
And I got along pretty well there, and I
He's
retired
had good results.
many years ago now. But
He's
then I
met
went
some of
on
the other
the turkey
guys that he
business,
had done,
and
and he
my
did
son,
lost
and
the
one
weight.
thing I should have never done. And I made myself a lot of work and didn't make no money out of it.
Kept him going, dancing and everything.
But that's about the size of the situation.
You want them to sing?
Uncle
Yeah.
Don, he was
Well,
Uncle Don got drafted into the service back in 1942, I think it was,
Can you see?
43 around there. And maybe even 41, but anyhow. He went, in them days, if you got drafted, you went and took basic training. And then they send you home for 10, 15 days. And in his case, they sent him up to Fort Niagara, there's an induction center up there, and then from there they shipped him to El Paso, Texas. And a camp they call Camp Bliss out there them days, Fort Bliss. And then from there, he had basic training there in the infantry. And not the infantry, but he had basic training, infantry training. And then from there, they shipped him over to North Africa. They never let him come home for one of those 10 days passes or whatever. And they shipped him right over to North Africa, and he was over there for about 4 years before he ever got back. And he was in the anti-aircraft over there. And then they put him in the infantry because they didn't need them in Africa, North Africa, and they sent him over to Europe, and he was over there in the infantry. And so he was there until he got shipped back. He got a shrapnel on his knee, and Uncle Buck, he got also shrapnel in his knee or arm or whatever it was.
I think they both got Purple Hearts, I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
yeah, they did.
And they were sent back.
Yeah.
But luckily they come back, without being scabbed other than that.
Dad,
Now,
what did Uncle Jim, or what did Uncle Don witness in Italy?
oh, he was in Italy.
He's
There
in
was
the- he's in the-
Mussolini and his mistress. Maybe you read up on the school in your history books and that. Mussolini was a dictator over in Italy. And he was really vicious. So the peasants over there, when they came back, they were so mad because he got them into the war. And he sided with Hitler. And Hitler and him become buddies. So the peasants over there took and got a hold of him, and they tied him by his feet in the square. Tied him and his mistress in the square, and they threw rocks and stuff at him. And Uncle Don witnessed that. They hung him there on his feet.
Yeah, he sent to Italy to fight in Italy because Italy, the Italians, they turned against the United States and fought with Germany. So the United States beat Italy, and then all of a sudden after the war, then they become friends again. But that was about the size over there. And so Dan, him and Bucky, they come back from overseas, and they both
You gotta get up, Al?
Yeah, I'm all right.
You all right?
They both
Yep.
come back overseas, and they met up in Camp Button in North Carolina, or New Jersey, someplace up there. And all of a sudden they went in the PX and heard Don and Buck run into each other the first time in about 4.5, 5 years. They met each other, they both come back at the same time. And back them days, they sent them back on a point system, I
Going
think.
someplace, lady.
That's the time they met him in the,
You know where.
Fort Dix.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get this
And Bucky
guy.
and Don, they both met each other in Fort Dix the first time in about 4.5 years they seen each other. And they called here and they told us about it. And that was quite an occasion there.
And our cousins, Elwood and Vance Neely, they're both in the service over there too, in the Army. And they run into each other in London, England, walking down the street. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, that's about the end of the war story.
Now, if you want to sing a little bit, you say, blow the thing.
You want to sing something?
Play the harmonica, he wants to play the
You got
harmonica.
the,
Which were those?
you got it on?
Yeah, it's been on.
Oh, for 10.
Give him a jig first. Give him a good jig first. Have I told you once again somehow? Have I told with all my heart and soul how I adore you? Well, darling, I'm telling you now. My heart will break to you if you will leave me. I will love me, love him like as I know you lately that I love you. Well, darling, I'm telling you now.
We're going to play a jig now like Bob. Bob likes a jig.
There was an old sow and a little pig, I little jig. There was an old sow and a little pig, and the rest of the road ray. Oh, Susanna's a funny old sow. Oh, Susanna's a funny old sow. Well, sow tried to climb over the garden wall. I tried to climb over the garden wall. The rest of the road array. Ladies over in England, that was a thing spiritual over years ago. We'd like all the ladies to join in this. This is an English spiritual. So all the ladies, I'd like you to all join in this song, okay? So all the ladies join in now. Oh, the sow climbed over the climb. I shall try to climb over the garden wall. shaggy low, South tried to climb over the garden wall, and the rest to do run the rain. Ladies, I ask you to all join in with me. You know, after all, this is an English spiritual, and we want you to sing and join in with us. And so, all the ladies join in. I have to sit down with a little amongst friends, huh? So, okay. Well, so Susanna's a funny old sow. Susanna's a funny old sow. Now you take it over. Do some singing. I can't sing too good today.
I'll play one more song.
Hillbilly stuff.
But I'm a little country player, you know. I don't play like that.
We like that kind of music. See, that's what we were born and raised on there, you know. So, you know.
We're going to play the Wildwood Flower.
Okay.
Yeah, Wildwood Flower. I used to
Never sleeps.
Oh, I woke up in the morning and I looked at the wall. Oh, the skeeters and the bedbugs were having a game of ball. Oh, the score was 6-0 and the bedbugs were ahead. And the skeeter hit a home run and knocked me out of bed. That was an old time little song too, you know.
Another one I used to sing, Old Apple Tree in the Orchard.
Oh, the old apple tree in the orchard lives in the memory. If my pappy had known it, he'd been sorry that he grown it, 'cause he died under the old apple tree. Apple tree, apple tree, oh, he died under the old apple tree. If my pappy had known it, he was sorry that he grown it, 'cause he died under the old apple tree. Doodly, 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 doodly.
That's the Wabash Cannonball.
By the shore, the south went by the shore. Hear the mighty roar of the engine, hear the lonesome hobo squall. The line through the jungle on the walrus cannonball.